So, what's an experience really about? I mean, is there some universal core to it that we all share, or is every single moment we live through uniquely our own? In this explainer, we're diving deep into phenomenology, which is just a fancy word for the study of human experience, and the two powerful competing ideas right at its heart. Think about something really powerful, like grief. Is there a fundamental essence of what it means to lose something or someone that everyone feels? Or is my grief, your grief, fundamentally different? This exact question is the battleground we're going to explore today. The way we study this is called phenomenology. But, right away, we hit this huge disagreement on how to even find the truth of an experience. So let's start with the first camp, the search for a pure, universal essence. Okay, first up is Transcendental Phenomenology. The easiest way to think about this is like a quest to find the pure, unfiltered, universal truth of any given experience. Now, this approach was championed by a philosopher named Edmund Husserl, and his goal was incredibly ambitious. He wanted to uncover the essence of an experience. And to do this, researchers have to use a really critical technique called bracketing. Imagine you're building a sterile laboratory for the mind. You have to meticulously, carefully set aside all of your personal beliefs, your history, your biases, everything, so you can observe the experience in its purest, most objective form. Yeah, this whole method is really about distillation. It's trying to boil away all the messy, complicated details of our individual points of view to find that one pure shared core of an experience, like joy or fear, the part that is supposedly true for every single one of us. Let's go back to our example of grief. A researcher using this method wouldn't care why you're grieving or what your cultural background is. Nope. Instead, they'd be looking for the universal building blocks of grief itself, that raw sense of loss, that deep emotional ache that they believe everyone, absolutely everyone, who grieves must feel. And the process itself really reflects this hunt for objectivity. It's a very structured, step-by-step path. You gather the stories, you bracket all your personal bias, you identify the common themes that pop up, and then finally you put those themes together to reveal one universal description. It's almost like a scientific attempt to draw a map of human consciousness. But what if all that messiness they tried to bracket away, what if that's actually the most important part? That's the question that drives our second approach, the quest not for a pure essence, but for lived, individual meaning. And this brings us to Interpretive Phenomenological Analysis, or IPA for short. This approach is heavily influenced by another philosopher, Martin Heidegger. And here, the goal is completely flipped on its head. IPA is not hunting for some universal essence. It wants to understand the unique, personal meaning an experience holds for one individual living in their specific world. And here's the really radical part. IPA argues that bracketing your biases isn't just impossible, it's actually undesirable. A researcher's background, their perspective, those aren't seen as contaminants, they're seen as essential tools for understanding. So instead of trying to eliminate subjectivity, this approach puts it right at the center of the whole analysis. So if an IPA researcher were studying grief, they would be absolutely fascinated by all those details. How does your culture shape the way you mourn? How do your spiritual beliefs influence your sense of loss? They believe these details aren't just noise you have to filter out. They are the experience. Now, this kind of philosophy demands a completely different way of analyzing things. It's not a straight line. It's more like a continuous loop of understanding that's known as the hermeneutic circle, a process of constantly moving between the little details and the big picture to build meaning. So forget about those linear steps. Here, the researcher just dives headfirst into the data, reading and rereading, zooming in on a single phrase, and then zooming way out to see the entire story. They move back and forth between the parts and the whole, letting their own interpretation help shape the themes that emerge. It's a living, breathing cycle of discovery. All right, so we have two really powerful but fundamentally different philosophies on the table. Let's put them side by side to see exactly where they diverge. Honestly, the entire debate really boils down to this one fundamental split. Is the goal to find the single universal essence that connects all of us, Or is it to understand the profoundly personal, individual meaning that makes each of us unique? And just look at how different the role of the researcher becomes. On one side, with Husserl, you're an objective scientist trying to bracket your bias to get a pure description. On the other side, with Heidegger, you're an active interpreter, using your perspective to unlock a deep, context-rich understanding. It's like two completely different job descriptions, driven by two completely different philosophies. So, why does any of this academic stuff matter? Well, because it shapes how we study everything, from a patient's experience in a hospital to how people navigate huge life changes. It literally defines what we consider to be truth. So the two paths are crystal clear, right? One seeks the universal by trying to eliminate bias. The other seeks unique meaning by embracing interpretation. One searches for that common thread that connects all of humanity, while the other celebrates the rich, colorful tapestry of all our individual differences. Which leaves us with the ultimate question. Is the deepest truth found in that objective core that we all share? Or is it found in the subjective meaning that is ours and ours alone? When it comes to understanding what it truly means to be human, which path do you think gets us closer?